Facebook is facing the biggest challenge to its dominance yet. The social media giant's various apps have lost their spot as the world's most downloaded programs to Generation Z's new favourite, TikTok. And as Paolo Montecillo reports, the Chinese platform is just getting started.
It was only a matter of time. TikTok has become the world's most popular mobile app. That's according to analytics firm App Annie, which has been tracking downloads since 2018. The Chinese app rose to #1 as Facebook struggles to address privacy concerns that have landed it in hot water with regulators.
So I think that when we're writing this privacy regulation, we just should be aware of the interaction between our principles on privacy and our principles on competition.
TikTok's been downloaded 2 billion times and has around 700 million users, up from just 54 million in 2018. Around half are people under 30, and world leaders are taking notice, using the short video sharing platform to reach this younger audience. French President Emmanuel Macron recently took to TikTok to promote vaccinations.
So these vaccines that we've bought, that we have, let's use them to protect ourselves and our people. Let's go.
There are activists too, like Malaysian teenager Ain Husniza Saifal Nizam, who posted a video calling out inappropriate language by a teacher.
He was making a couple of jokes, but it seemed normal at first.
TikTok's popularity has also produced a new crop of millionaires. Addison Rae, with 82 million followers, is the platform's top earner. She made $5 million last year. Charli D'Amelio has a bigger fan base at 122 million, but made less at $4 million. Her sister Dixie D'Amelio has 54 million followers, helping her take home $3 million in 2020. But it's TikTok's shareholders who are making the most serious cash. Its parent company ByteDance posted a record profit of $19 billion last year. And in a move that's sure to win it followers of a different kind, the company's reportedly planning an IPO in Hong Kong in early 2022. Paolo Montecillo, TRT World.
Well, for more, let's go to tech analyst Daniel Ives in New York. He's the managing director at Wedbush Securities. Good to have you back with us, Daniel. Facebook-owned apps, as we heard there, have really dominated this survey since it began in 2018. But TikTok has managed to really come from behind to unseat them all. What is it about this video sharing app that seems to have a wider appeal these days?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what's happened with TikTok, it's really taken social media by storm. In terms of the growth, the short order, those called 30-second videos, I mean, that's really been the key, along with what we've seen different music videos over the last few years. And demographically, this goes after a huge area from an advertising perspective. So the monetization is just something really unlike anything that we've seen. And also remember, I mean, this is a company that was pretty close to almost having U.S. ownership, and that's really now off the table. So they're really in a position of strength as we go into the next 1-2 years.
Yes, I want to ask you more about that because it did look like at one point that TikTok's days were numbered after former US President Donald Trump tried to ban it in the United States, citing national security concerns surrounding its Chinese owner ByteDance. You're saying it's off the table for now, but the fact that it is Chinese owned, could that be a liability in markets like the United States where there really is a growing concern about just how much control the state has over in China?
Yeah, look, I think it's a concern, especially in the midst of a U.S.-China cold tech war. But I do believe a lot of that has sort of been vetted and in the rearview mirror. And there was some white knuckle period for TikTok and, of course, their ByteDance as they went through those sort of periods from a regulatory and potentially ownership. There was rumors there were potential sale to Microsoft. So now, if you look, they're just going to continue to get stronger and stronger from a monetization, from a growth perspective. And what we're seeing just feverish on the social media, especially on COVID, where viewership has continued to go up. I mean, this has really become almost the a really golden ticket for ByteDance.
So even though TikTok was the #1 app last year, Facebook apps still dominated that survey. And we know Facebook is extremely adept at basically copying popular features from its rivals. I'm thinking, for example, Instagram Stories is basically a replica of Snapchat, but also Reels on Instagram is essentially competing with TikTok. And now we have YouTube and its alternative to TikTok known as Shorts. TikTok really can't afford to rest on its laurels, can it?
No, I mean, when you got Zuckerberg looking toward your business model, that's something that's hard to rest, right? Because we've seen it with Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, other acquisitions. They've continued to sort of monetize that. And remember, Facebook, what's unique there, it's about the demographics, especially when you start to get that 30 to 50-year-old demographic. That is a sweet spot for advertisers. But that's why TikTok has to continue to expand in terms of their platform, but also remember in terms of this regulatory environment. I think Facebook for now is really almost constrained in terms of M&A acquisitions. So this is really giving TikTok a bit of a green light to just further expand and make sure competitive wise that they don't become something that, call it, 2, 3 years from now is just a fad.
Can I ask you more about that regulatory environment over in the United States? We do have, obviously, the Biden administration that's in power, and many people within that party, the Democratic Party, have been calling for more regulation of the tech sector. Facebook, obviously, is one of their prime targets. It's been blamed for misinformation campaigns on a number of issues, the pandemic, also on elections. Do you believe that the call for regulation is going to pick up pace in the coming months and years?
Yeah, look, a brighter spotlight definitely on big tech, especially as big tech's the strong have gotten stronger during the pandemic. You look at Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and others. But look, when you compare this to what we're seeing in China, it's drinking a cappuccino because that's where you're seeing so much of the regulatory crackdown in Beijing has moved so much money toward US tech. There's definitely more scrutiny from a regulation perspective, but it still feels like that's probably 18, 24 months away. And that's why it's still a green light to own tech, which is why these stocks continue to shake off any sort of regulatory issues.
So what do you believe is next for TikTok? How can it ensure that it preserves its #1 spot and goes beyond that?
I think a lot of it's demographically moving up. They're really looking to aim. You start to get to older demographics. That's important from an advertising perspective. I could also see them adding other types of media, potentially gaming, and some other areas that they could kind of tangentially get into because they got to continue to expand. In terms of just sort of that short video, they're going to look at other areas that they could further monetize, make sure more eyeballs are spending more and more time on TikTok. And I think that's going to be the key. I definitely foresee a lot of M&A potentially over the last 6 to 12 months, especially as they're in a position of strength here.
Okay, Daniel Ives from Wedbush Securities. We'll have to leave it there, but really good to get your analysis as always. Thank you.